Hello and welcome back to Westferry Times for another deep dive. Today we're looking into something quite concerning, actually. A series of suspicious fires at properties connected to Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And the fact that counterterrorism police are now involved, well, that definitely tells you something. We're going to try and unpack what's going on. And with us to help do that is Dr. Alex Morgan, renowned counterterrorism expert and senior fellow at RUSI. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's certainly an important developing situation.
It really is. So maybe you could start by just giving us an overview. What exactly happened with these files?
Sure. So we're talking about early May 2025. There were 3 separate incidents logged by police. It kicked off on May 8th. That was a vehicle fire in the NW5 area.
Okay.
Then just a few days later, May 11th, there was a blaze.
Yeah.
Looked like it was at the entrance of a property, this time in the N7 postcode.
Right.
And then the very next day, May 12th, another fire. This one was at Mr. Starmer's former home in Kentish Town.
And all 3 are being treated as suspicious.
Yes, that's the crucial point, all 3. And because of the potential link to, well, the Prime Minister, it's the Met's Counterterrorism Command, SO15, that's taken the lead. It's being framed as a precaution, standard procedure when a high-profile figure might be targeted, but they are looking seriously into whether these are linked or deliberate attacks.
That sounds incredibly serious. Any word on injuries? Was anyone hurt?
Thankfully, no. All reports indicate no injuries in any of the incidents.
That's a relief, at least.
It is. The damage seems mostly confined to property. You mentioned the entrance fire, so yeah, particularly around entrances in a couple of cases. And it's worth saying, emergency services were apparently on the scene pretty quickly each time, which likely helped contain things.
Okay, so suspicious fires, counterterrorism command involved. What does that actually mean on the ground? What are the police doing right now?
Well, the immediate steps involve securing the scenes. So you'd see police cordons, keeping areas clear. That's vital for the forensic teams. They need to conduct really thorough examinations, looking for any clues.
Like accelerants, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Accelerants, ignition sources, any scrap of evidence, but also digital footprints, CCTV, you name it. And the counterterrorism involvement means they're casting a wide net. Not just arson, but potential political motives, ideological drivers. They're looking for connections, any pattern, trying to figure out the why.
You mentioned the Kentish Town address, the former residence. That location has seen trouble before, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. And that's definitely relevant context for the investigators. Back in April 2024, there was quite a significant pro-Palestinian protest right outside that property.
I remember that. Things got heated, didn't they?
They did. A number of people were arrested, and several were later convicted for public order offenses related to that specific demonstration. So you see, this history establishes that particular property as, well, a known focal point for protests aimed at Mr. Starmer. Investigators will absolutely be looking at whether this recent fire is somehow connected to that past activity, or if it's part of maybe a broader pattern of targeting.
That history certainly complicates things, doesn't it? And this whole situation, it really does shine a light on, well, the kind of risks political figures face these days. What are the broader implications here for politics, for public discussion?
Oh, definitely. It underscores the heightened risks for anyone in public life, frankly. Especially now, things feel so polarized, don't they? And when incidents happen at private homes, that hits differently. It raises really serious questions about the safety of politicians and, their families, too.
And beyond the immediate danger, there's an intimidation factor, surely.
Absolutely. There's always the worry that acts like this are intended to intimidate, to perhaps, influence what people say publicly, or even try to affect policymaking. It can create a sort of chilling effect on open debate, which is obviously bad for democracy. And it might even put people off entering public life altogether.
And how do you think the public sees this? How might it affect trust or perception?
Well, events like this can be quite unsettling for the public. They can feed into a sense of instability, maybe even erode trust a little bit. Trust in security, trust in the safety of leaders. You'll likely see more debate now about that tricky balance, Yeah. How do we protect public figures effectively, which we clearly need to do.
Right.
Without undermining the transparency and civil liberties that are fundamental to our society. It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, it really is. So looking forward then, what can actually be done to try and prevent things like this? What are the options?
It needs a multi-pronged approach, really. Obviously, enhancing security protocols for public officials is part of it. That might mean reviewing current measures, maybe more surveillance where appropriate, ensuring that rapid response teams are, well, rabid.
But security isn't everything, I suppose.
No, it can't be. There's also a need to um, foster better community engagement, perhaps find ways to address grievances through dialogue rather than letting them fester. And crucially, there's the whole area of monitoring and actively counteracting extremist narratives, online and off, that might encourage violence or target individuals. That's a huge challenge.
And specifically for the police and security agencies, what should they be focusing on?
Continued close work between law enforcement and intelligence services is just vital. Sharing information, spotting potential threats early, that's key. Investing in the right training and resources for counterterrorism units is also essential. These are complex investigations. And just generally promoting that culture of interagency cooperation so everyone's working together effectively, that makes a real difference.
Some really important points there. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this.
You're welcome. Glad I could contribute.
And thank you for joining us for this deep dive at Westferry Times. It certainly leaves you thinking, doesn't it, about how we protect those who serve in public office, but also how we protect the health of our public debate itself. We encourage you to stay informed as this story develops. Until next time, goodbye.